All right, today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about how I like to prawn. I use a system, it's called a Pro prawn puller, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in a while. It's right there, and you'll see better when I have it set up. It uses a thin line, and here's a spool, and I'll also show you that later. But before I get to that, I want to show you just my complete system and how I set it up and explain briefly why I do that. Here's the trap I like to use, and it's a solid trap. From what I've been told, the prawns don't like any movement, so if you use a mesh trap and there's currents and things like that, the mesh can move and it can possibly scare them away. This has 4 entrances. I've actually put rebar, which I've plastic coated on the insides. I'm sorry, it's sort of hard to see here. The sun's just coming up. Maybe you can see better from this angle. But I've zip strapped it in either side so it helps it go down faster. And then from this angle, you can see, or hopefully you can see, you can open up and you got a slot right in. So I like to use these things. I've got the food in there and the top screws off, and then you put your food in, and then that just slides inside and it gives you a decent amount. That shuts. It's all nice and safe. It's clean. You're not it's not floating around inside. That's one of the big reasons why I love this trap. And when it's shut, this bungee just comes over and you click it like that, so it holds that shut, but it also holds this corner shut. And when you're ready to catch your prawns later, you open it up, you take your bait out, you open this corner, and you just lift the whole thing, and they'll just slide right out into your bucket. So that's why I do that. So that's ready there. What I do is I attach to the carabiner a cord, I don't know, 20 or 30 feet, and I have that go to a weight. And that weight there is going to sit on the bottom. So if there's any movement between my float and the line, if it moves this, it's got to move that before it's going to move that, a bit like an anchor. So that's what I do there. And I've actually got 2 traps. I'm not showing the other one, but I've got 2 types of weights. There's a pyramid weight, and actually that is probably better than that because that one definitely won't move. All right, and then what I do is this system that uses the thin line, there's 400 feet of paracord on there, and it goes down. And when you get it, you won't have this on it. I actually bought that nylon thing, and then I just did a fisherman's knot and made sure it's nice and tight and cinched in there. And that prevents, when you're picking this thing up and down and you only have the line, there's going to be friction. So this takes some of the friction away. So that's the one thing I've added to the system. Other than that, I've got 400 feet, and you're going to make sure on a boat you have a really good depth sounder. I use the Hummingbird. It's got charts, it's got depth sounder, it's got whatever, but you need a really good one of those to make sure that you're not going too deep and throwing your line over. All right, let me tell you a little bit about why I've chosen to go with the Pro line hauler. For me, while I've got a 14-foot boat here, I still tend to find the other traps take up a lot more space, and then you have all the line and just everything involved. So with this, everything's so minimal that when I'm finished, that's all I have to deal with right there. There's the puller, there's the line. It cleans up super easy. I soak it in water. The team at Pro Line Hauler over there, Jim, him and his team, they've been amazing. Any questions I've had, any concerns, I've actually given them feedback. They've made improvements. He's been awesome. So they've really treated me well, and I've been using this for about 3 years now. And a couple other things I mentioned, the thin line, when you throw a trap out and it's got a thick line, there's lots of drag. You saw that I used the weight. Well, with this, I don't even know if I'd have to use the weight, just because the current and stuff would affect this way less than a weighted line. This is a sinking line, by the way. So basically what I've got going here is, I've got my trap already, all set. I've got it all fed in. I'm going to drop that. I'm going to let this go. I'm going to get my weight, and Sorry, I'm holding my phone, but off it goes. And you know what? It's going to feed itself out. I'm today in probably about 270 feet of water, so there's going to be some extra line left over. But what's going to happen is I'll let that go down just before the end. I'll give it a little bump just so that the trap and the weight are spread out just that little bit. And then when it's all out, I can just turn it around and I can drive and I'll spin the rest off. Just be careful, because at the end you got to attach your float, right? So that's about the only piece of advice I'll give you. And this thing spins. Oh, and it also, by the way, attaches to a regular Scotty rod mount holder. So I've got one of those for when I go fishing. Simple, easy peasy. All right, so we're getting, I just want to show you right at the end here what happens. So we come down, there's the end of the 400 feet. I'm just driving the boat and it's just spinning off. And then as you can start to see, it's going to there. So I put the boat into neutral. I'm going to do this one-handed, but I pull off and it just comes out like that. And I clip onto a clip, which is really tough. Sorry. There you go. And then I just throw it overboard. So, all set.
Ready.
Okay. All right. So, I want to show you how the prawn puller works. So, it's got a groove up here. So, when you get your thing, you put it in here.
Your arm's in the way.
Well, yeah. There's a little notch in here. You put that in. And you're going to use, I use the brushless DeWalt. It's a 20-volt drill. And, oh, I got to put a battery on. That would be helpful. There you go. Boom. Done. I like to go backwards. And what I do is I just start to pull it up. And there is a device that goes back and forth with this prawn puller you get. I personally like just to use my finger because I like to stretch it all the way back and forth and I control it, but it does come so you don't have to use your finger. Some people like that. I'm sure a lot of people like that. Anyways, I'm going to start pulling it up. One of the things that I also do is once I start bringing it up, because I'm only in about 250 feet of water, there's about 150 feet of loose line. So as I can see that it's going that way, I can actually turn the boat and sort of go that way. And you're doing yourself a favor because the prawn puller will pull up two traps, one after the other. You can also pull up two traps on one line. I personally don't like doing that. I have two traps, but I put them each on their own spools. So I've bought two separate spools. Anyways, I'm gonna start pulling this up and then I will come back and show you when I get close to the end.
Prawn geek.
All right, we're getting pretty close to the first weight. So, here we come. There we go. I'll take the drill off. And then I just pull up and let's cross our fingers. We got some prawns. I'm trying a new spot. So hopefully we'll luck into a good bunch. Oh, looks pretty good. Yeah, check that out.
Nice.
Yeah, I have to say I'm happy about those results. Some pretty good bad boys in there. So that's the
That's really good.
prawn puller system.
Your hand's in the way of the prawn.
Sorry. All right. All right, remember how I told you when you catch the prawns? You know, what I usually do is I take my secret ingredient bait out, and I'm not gonna give you that on this video. You gotta figure out what you're gonna catch, but I wanted to show you why I like this trap. I just basically dump everything and it all falls out. So your bait's out and then all your prawns, and there we go. Voila. And everything's in the bucket, almost a full bucket, and that's just one trap. So I've got the other trap. I'll check